Okay, hi everybody. So today I'm going to talk about something that I realized I have been studying for 20 years. Just stop and think about that. 20 years of focusing on the same thing. And I've been focusing on confidence in all of its various forms, but specifically I've been thinking about and studying and teaching and doing research on choice confidence. So I've spent a lot of time focusing on what makes people confident when they're making choices. Now you might think, well, why? Why choice confidence? Why not self-confidence? Why not confidence that in the economic system? Well, the reason is that all of us, on average, make thousands of choices every single day. In fact, we make tens of thousands of choices every single day. We make choices about how to wear our hair. We make choices about where to park, what to wear. Those are the easy ones. We also make choices that are a little bit harder. Where to go for lunch, which restaurant to patronize. We make some hard choices. Where to go to college, which major to pursue. We make life-changing choices. Should I or shouldn't I move to a new state to pursue my career? We make all of these choices over and over again, and if you get stuck making choices because you don't feel confident, then you are really kind of stopping your progression in life. Because our lives are actually this series, the outcome of this series of choices that we make. So I got really interested early on figuring out what makes people confident when they're making choices. Now let me really kind of back up a little bit, because in fact I started off studying what makes people have uncertainty when they're making choices. And I found out that I could find hundreds of people at conferences who wanted to talk with me about what makes people uncertain. Great. And then I found out that while people like to talk about what made them uncertain, nobody wanted to publish that work. And when you are a professor, when you are a faculty member, you need to get work published. So I started thinking about, well, what is a better way to do what I want to do, but in a way that is more palatable? And I flipped this research from uncertainty onto confidence. Because while we're not really interested in making people more uncertain, we are interested in trying to make people more confident. And so I flipped this, and I initially thought that confidence and uncertainty were two extremes on the same continuum. And as I started to do my research, I found out they are not. That confidence has levels from high to low, and uncertainty is what causes this. Uncertainty being those unknowable facts. I'm taking an action, but I can't know with 100% certainty what the outcome is going to be, right? So it's the uncertainty that causes the changes in the confidence that we feel. But what I wanted to do is help people become more confident, because I'm a marketing researcher. I'm a consumer researcher, and we like to know how to make people more confident when they're making choices. Why? Because confident consumers go ahead and make the purchase. Confident consumers enjoy what they purchase more. Confident consumers will even see a slightly bad outcome and protect their confident choice and say, it's okay. Confident consumers are great. But also, I'm a marketing professor. I like to see my students be confident, because confident students work harder. Confident students persist longer with the hard tasks. Confident students actually accept more challenges. So my research over time has shifted in terms of the focus from marketing to higher education, but I'm still focusing on what makes people confident. How can I boost the confidence? And so I started doing this trek, and it's been a 20-year fun trek. But one of the things that I have found is that when you start talking about confidence, people are either really interested or they kind of fall asleep. And I'm going to dial this back and try to summarize for you 20 years of research in two topics. Number one thing that makes people more confident is knowing their own preferences. That's the number one influencer on choice confidence. People have to know their own preferences. Now, if that sounds simple, Sounds simplistic. I want you to think about some time when maybe you went to a concert. I went to one this week. And when people asked me about the concert, they said, how was it? And I said, well, it was okay. It's all right. Is that really just okay? Yeah, man, it's all right. Well, what happened? Oh, nothing really. It was just okay. So there's something in here that's very fuzzy. And what I realized is that what was very fuzzy was my expectations and my preferences for concerts. And I had to do two things to get really clear on this. And two things that will help all of us to become more confident by understanding our own preferences. Number one, reflection, right? Take the time to reflect. Reflection is really just focusing on what are the facts. Tell me what happened. Well, the concert was on Thursday. It was supposed to start at 6:30. It started at 7 o'clock. I had really good seats, but every time the performance came out, everybody stood up. So then I had to stand up instead of enjoying my very expensive seat. Then I actually, was in this watching the performers. I was watching the performers, and I only knew a couple of them by name, and the ones that I knew by name didn't perform the old songs that I knew. They were performing more of the new stuff, and everybody was up singing along except me. And I felt like, did I come in the wrong door? What's going on? So I'm kind of thinking this through, and then an hour and a half into this concert, they actually raised the house lights and spent 30 minutes soliciting for subscriptions to a charity. Now, I have nothing against a charity. I think it's a great charity. However, I paid for the concert. I didn't pay for the solicitation. So when people ask me what went wrong, I can list out these things if I've done reflection, but I actually had to think more about why this bothered me. And when I thought about it, I thought, well, let's do some introspection. Go a little bit beyond the facts into what does it mean to me? And this is where the preferences gain clarity. Number one, I'm very time conscious. I'm a very time conscious person. You can ask any of my students, we start on time, we end on time. I will not hold you late, but I'm not going to wait for you either. Right? Number two, I don't go to a lot of events during the week, so anything that I'm going to go to during the week has to be of premium quality, and that solicitation in the middle was cutting into my sleep time. Number three, I didn't get the mix of old and new songs that I hoped to hear. And I thought about these things in the introspection to get really clear on why was this concert just meh, and what I realized is that I didn't get enough of what I wanted. And these are the reasons why. And I could go back and say, well, how do I act on this? Well, I go back and I look at the producer, the coordinator, and I say, whenever I see this name come up again in terms of related to a concert, I'm probably going to say no. Because my preference is for something else, right? So I now can make very confident decisions about my concert going, my concert purchases. So get really clear as you possibly can on your preferences. That's the number one thing that will allow you to make good, confident choices. All of our preferences come from, our own experiences, but they also come from community members. They come from our family, our friends. But at some point, we have to step back and decide for ourselves what is good, what is desirable, what do we want, what are we approaching, what are we avoiding, right? The second thing, summarizing 20 years of research here, the second thing is that confident people know that diagnostic information is essential. I could be done right there. Diagnostic information is information that allows you to distinguish among your choice options. To what end? To figure out which ones are going to tap into the preferences that I already have, that I have become clear on. And diagnostic information is different from a lot of information. I can get a lot of information in 4 stars, 4.5 stars, 3.5 stars, 3.75 stars, and that may help me if there's a bunch of stuff that's 1 star, But it doesn't help me if everything is 4 stars, 3.5 stars. That doesn't help me. What I need is detail. Information that allows me to discern between the differences among these options so that I can figure out which ones will help me to approach my preferences. That's what I need. Diagnostic information. And I've studied it in all of its various formats, looking at whether it's verbal information or if it's quantitative information, or should the information be written in line form, should it be written in columns. I've looked at it all different ways, but it all comes down to we need clear preferences and we need diagnostic information. Information that helps me figure out the differences among these choice options. So when my students come to me and they say, Dr. Andrews, we're stuck. We got these 2 options. We don't know which one to take. I say one of 2 things is happening. Either you have an equal preference for both of these choices, which means we now need to come up with a tiebreaker. That's okay. Or you don't have sufficient information. Let's figure out which one it is. Thank you.